lifestyle?
And golf. Because,
Golf?
Yeah, because I got really great tips from Rick Hitt a week ago. We were out playing golf. He gave me 2 tips. One was putting, because I won't bore you with the details, but the other
Too late.
was getting out. The other was,
Yeah.
the other was getting out of a sand trap, and then I found out from him later that the tip about getting out of a sand trap actually came from Elaine Crosby and not from Rick Hitt. He learned it from her. So I said next time I'm going to eliminate the middleman. I'm going to play golf with Elaine Crosby instead of playing with Rick Hitt.
What's the tip in getting out of the trap?
I can't.
I've got one for you too.
Are you a golfer?
Don't get in the
No,
sand
I
trap.
used to be.
Don't get in the sand trap in the first place. That's the
Just
best
pick
tip.
your ball up and throw it out.
There you go.
Is that legal?
No.
Oh, boy.
No.
Well, they answered that one really
Yeah,
quick.
no.
Who knew?
No,
Who
no.
knew?
No, so anyway, shout out to Rick Hitt for the.
What
the
about
tips.
Elaine? Since she-
And well, to Elaine, obviously, because she's the one who really taught him everything he knows about golfing.
Wow.
That's good to know because I have a certificate with a golf lesson with Elaine that I
She-
bought at the Jackson High Ambassador dinner.
She's
Sweet.
got the best golf swing of anybody I've ever seen. You watch her on the range, and it's a perfect golf swing. Anyway,
Hence her being a professional golfer.
right? I get it. Okay, I catch on. So anyway, yeah, lifestyle, real estate, and I leave it up entirely to my wife as to what she wants to talk about.
Yes.
And we were talking earlier. She wants to talk about contingencies in a purchase
Contingency
agreement,
removals.
contingency removals, the confusion that often ensues when financing doesn't happen or whatever.
So yeah, there's transactions out there that the
Fall apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or there are
yeah,
problems.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess I haven't really seen a transaction fall apart in a long time. Not across my desk, but
And I see them all the time because that's the only time people come to me is when something as bad is happening.
right. At what price point would I come to you if a transaction fell apart?
Like $1.5 million.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, if it's a $50,000 house and it falls
Yeah,
apart,
you don't come to me.
you probably just
Right, yeah.
pick up your blocks and go to another house, right?
Because the cost of a lawyer is.
Is-
Right, well, I mean, you try and work it out with the realtors involved and the parties, you know. I mean, there is the opportunity to at least discuss what can happen. But you got to know what your legal rights are in the first instance, and very often it's difficult to ascertain those rights based upon the pre-printed form language of contingency removal. But a well-written form, you know, it says this is how you remove a contingency, this is what happens if it doesn't get timely removed.
Well, and I just got back from teaching a class on Tuesday in Kalamazoo, and the realtors there had mentioned that they're finding that buyers or sellers are not responding to offers within the time limit that's given within the purchase agreement. So, for example,
Yeah.
I give you a purchase agreement and I say you have till 5 p.m. on Tuesday to accept, reject, or counter,
Well-
and you don't.
Well, to accept. All I have to say is you have until 5 p.m. on thus and such date to accept. If we don't receive written acceptance delivered to the buyer's agent on or before that 5 p.m. on that date, then the offer is automatically withdrawn. I always put in language that says something like this offer is open and capable of acceptance until 5 p.m. on May 15, unless earlier withdrawn in writing by whoever it is that's
Yeah, I
making
mean,
the offer.
it's
So then it's dead?
Yeah, what happens is it'll automatically terminate, and so now you get into the question, and actually we have a case going on right now in which the first issue was did they get timely notification, you know, the date was X, and did the other side actually notify the seller's agent on that date, or did it come too late? And if it comes too late, what's the effect? My opinion is once it comes too late, your deal's off and you start over.
So if I'm a buyer's agent and I notify the seller's agent that my client has accepted their counteroffer, but the seller's agent doesn't tell the seller,
You raise a good question. First of all, you can't simply tell them we've accepted, because the language should say that in order to accept this offer, there must be written acceptance signed by the seller, delivered to the buyer's
but I
agent
can have
or
it
the
in
buyer.
writing in my hands. I could call
I being,
the buyer's agent, Laura Schlechte, the buyer's agent, could call Jackie Austin, the seller's agent, and say, I have a signed accepted offer in my hand, just wanted to let you know I will email it to you, or I will fax it to you, or I will put it in your Dropbox.
And then you forget to do so, and you go to a golf outing, and you don't do it till the next day. I got an answer for you, lady, and that is you just screwed up, because the manner of acceptance was written acceptance signed by the other party, delivered to my agent. In other words,
So
the
notification
fact
by phone is
that
not
notification by phone
delivery,
is not sufficient.
despite the fact you have a signed agreement in your hand.
But again, you have to look at the language of the agreement, but a well-drafted agreement will say acceptance delivered to me or my agent.
And in today's market, that's important. I was talking to a realtor who, the buyer and seller agents negotiated via the telephone, and the one buyer's agent said, "I'll get you the written acceptance tomorrow," because it was 10 o'clock at night. And 10:30 that same night, the seller's agent got a higher cash offer. And too bad for the buyer's agent.
Yeah, that's my view. Again, delivery to somebody else's agent of the written acceptance is not delivery to me. It's got to be to me or my agent. Now, again, you got to look at the language. If it's well drafted, then there's no question. But if it's not well drafted and it simply says it has to be accepted by the seller on or before 11 o'clock on May 15, now all of a sudden you've got this issue. It's signed by the buyer. It's given to the buyer's agent. The buyer's agent calls the seller's agent and says, "Hey, guess what? I've got an accepted deal." If you have ambiguous language or language that doesn't specifically say it must be delivered back at that time, now you're going to have an issue in the courts if somebody wants to push it. So the point here is draft your purchase agreement appropriately so that there is no question as to what constitutes an effective acceptance of an offer.
Can your purchase agreement say that it would be, I can verbally let you know, but I have to have the written agreement in my hand?
Nobody's going to do that because you don't want to do that. You don't, because now you open yourself up as a seller, for example, to shenanigans on the other side where they don't actually have the signed agreement in place, and the buyer's agent simply tells you as a matter of convenience, "Yes, I have the signed offer." They don't get it signed or signed acceptance, and they don't get it till the next day. So again, avoid game playing by parties. Make it very specific, and make it 5 p.m. Don't make it the end
Midnight,
of the day
yeah,
or whatever,
right.
because midnight. Who knows what midnight on? What's today? May 8th? Or May
9.
May 9?
No, 8.
May 8th. When's midnight on May 8th? Was it earlier today or is it tonight?
May 9th, I guess.
I don't know. I mean, that's a good question.
Yeah.
And so you always put like
I-
12.
To me, midnight would be tonight, and,
Yeah, but noon is today.
yeah.
So wouldn't midnight be
Well,
tomorrow?
let me make life easy for you. Okay, rather than simply put in a date like May 9, you put in shall be accepted no later than 5 p.m. Delivered to seller's agent no later than 5 p.m. on May 15, 2014. So it's very specific.
And
That's
does it
how you
really
draft
make a difference if I write an offer and I put May 9 at 3 p.m. for the seller to accept or reject? Does that really make a difference? Because my buyer can walk away from that any time prior to acceptance.
Well, it does if you get other offers, I guess.
No?
No, here's the deal, and most people don't understand this, and most realtors don't understand this, is they'll put in there, this offer is open and capable of acceptance by the seller until 3 p.m. on May 15, 2014. We're now at May 8. So tomorrow the buyer goes out, finds a property they like better. The seller has not given written acceptance back to the buyer's agent. Few realtors and sellers understand that buyer can revoke that offer at any time until the seller has given the written acceptance delivered to the buyer's agent. So tomorrow the buyer revokes that offer, the seller sits and looks at his agent and says, "Well, wait a second, they told me I had until May 15 at 3 p.m. to accept or reject. Now you're telling me they're revoking it on May 9? How can they do that?" And the law says that because that promise to leave the offer on the table until May 15 is unsupported by consideration. In other words, it's a gratuitous promise. I simply agree to do something, but there's no consideration coming back to me, the buyer. It's therefore an unenforceable promise. It's not a contract. One way you change that is you put in the agreement, for and in consideration of the sum of $1 paid by the seller to the buyer. The buyer agrees that this offer shall remain open and capable of acceptance until 3 p.m. on May 15th. Now you've got $1, and it has,
Well,
actually has to be paid or tendered by the seller. You can't simply recite that in the agreement, and now seller actually offers it to the buyer or to the buyer's agent, and the buyer's agent just laughs at us, says, I don't really care about the $1, but at least he's tendered it. Now that offer cannot be revoked until the 3 p.m. on May 15th. Okay? These are legal nuances that you need to be aware of, and people who are smart and who understand these things, you know, they can sort of play the system a little bit, knowing these nuances of contract.
So as a
law.
buyer's agent, I write an offer, give you till Friday, May 9th, 3 p.m. You as the seller, well, let's say I give you till Monday. You as the seller immediately respond, or you as the seller's agent have an addendum that counters and says, the seller's giving you $1 to make that non-revocable. Can you do that?
Sure. You could say, hey, look, we need the time to consider this, and we want to offer you $1. So for an consideration sum of $1 paid by the seller, buyer agrees that the offer that I made on May 8th shall remain open and capable of acceptance until 3 p.m. May, what date is that? The 12th.
So that would probably be a great idea in this fast market, because that would allow you to get other offers in and consider.
Well, what you should do is put it right in the original offer. If you want to do that, I
Well,
mean,
that would be the buy. That would be the
oh, okay.
buyer's
In other words,
disadvantage.
okay, you're right. The buyer
I'm
wants to
looking at
play
it
the
from
game
this-
here from the seller's perspective.
The
so it's-
seller wants to play the
sure.
game.
You come back, you say, hey, wait a second. We got this offer. You say I have until 3 p.m. on May 12th, but I'm told by my lawyer that that's unenforceable. So I need to know that I have that time. So here's what I need. I need an addendum that says I'm paying you $1 in consideration for you keeping it open and capable of acceptance.
So if you pay the $1,
If you pay, or even just tender it, just tender it.
in the meantime, a better offer comes in.
The better offer comes in as the seller. You now simply blow off the first one, or you, better yet, you tell your agent, let's play one offer against the other, and let's bid them up, because we know we have until 3 p.m. on May 12th to accept or reject the one offer
Okay.
from the first buyer.
So that,
Yeah.
good for the seller.
Good for the seller, yeah.
Yeah.
The seller knows that that offer is out there, capable of acceptance for a period of time while they trade that offer. From the buyer and buyer's agent's point of view, they don't like that because they don't want their offer to be used as the benchmark for now negotiating with other purchasers.
So let's turn the tables. I've got a buyer. I write an offer. How can I get the seller in these fast-moving times to only consider my offer without looking at other offers? Is there any similar type situation that can be applied?
Yeah, you can actually put in foreign consideration the buyer making the offer in the first instance. That's a consideration by that the seller. Well, how do I phrase this? I'm trying to think. That's not going to work like that. I could do the same thing, but again, probably by separate agreement, foreign in consideration of the sum of $1. Seller agrees that while they are considering this offer, they will not. How do you want to do this? So you don't want them to even look at another offer? You don't
Yeah,
want
well,
to
so
market
for
it?
example, the offer that was negotiated by those two agents, and all parties agreed verbally that at 10 p.m. on a Friday night that was what they were going to accept, and at 10:30 p.m. the listing agent gets another offer that's better. Is there something short of getting signatures at 10 o'clock on a Friday night? And sometimes your seller's out of state or your buyer's out of state?
No, because that's an option. That would be an option in favor of the buyer, that the buyer could either proceed with exercise of the option or not, and a verbal agreement that they're not.
But if they're
review.
negotiating it, it would have happened in the initial purchase agreement. Okay, so now you got the initial purchase agreement. Can I give them $1 so that they negotiate the entire purchase agreement to its end before considering other purchase agreements?
Well, wouldn't you,
This
if
would
you got
stump the lawyer.
if you got another offer, wouldn't you could wait to the deadline and just not
Well, yeah,
accept it?
Yeah, you could do that, not accept it, but that offer might also go away. Can you do that for simply $1? Can I reach an agreement that says, I will not consider other offers, I won't negotiate with other people? You can do that. I've never seen it done in that fashion, and certainly not for $1. If I'm a seller,
Why would the seller do that?
right, I'm just about that.
I
Then
don't-
you and I are on the same page. If I'm a seller, I'm going to say, okay, you want me essentially to give you a 1 week free look, a 3-day free look, whatever it is.
You're not going to do that.
Right, certainly not for
To
$1.
negotiate. Well, then
Yeah, but
whatever
why?
it is, but whatever the amount
But why
is.
wouldn't I say to the buyer? I simply
Give me
say, go ahead.
$1,000.
Yeah, or
Okay,
give me your
I'll wait.
offer. Look, you can write the offer up tomorrow morning. I'm here. I don't see that happening. And as a seller, I'm certainly not going to do that.
You
I
would-
want something more.
You would just be.
You just
Screwing
shoot yourself
yourself.
in the foot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but I'm looking at it from the buyer's point of view. Get
We-
out of the seller's shoes.
Yeah, but you can do it. But what seller's gonna? You're wasting your time. I mean, aren't you?
I don't know. Am I?
Yeah. You're
Only
wasting
because
your
you're
time.
looking at it only from
No,
the
you-
seller's point of view.
Let me make a better.
And you're assuming that the seller has a realtor that's going to advise them that they're wasting their time.
I know it's hard to believe that a husband might actually have a good idea that would be received well by his wife. However,
I'm here to challenge.
I'm going to suggest
Stump
to
the
you,
lawyer.
all
Thank
you
you.
do is, with that, if you negotiate at 10 o'clock or 10:30 on a Friday night, spend the time writing up the offer so you present it the next morning. Get it done. Don't.
Well, no, this is during the we've already presented the offer. There's countering back and forth. They finally, after let's say 2 or 3 counters, they've come to agreement. In the initial offer, there's something though that ties the seller to wait until all signatures once they've come to a final agreement.
You could have an agreement that says we'll negotiate with you exclusively until the negotiations are concluded, but you don't see anything like that except in a large corporate merger or something else where the parties have a great amount at stake. Here you're talking about a seller. Why on earth would a seller ever agree to simply say, well, okay, I'll negotiate with you to the end, unless you agree to pay
Well,
me
not
something on the
every
front?
seller's going to have you as their lawyer
Well, but
or me as their agent.
Yeah,
so,
but I figured that out.
right. And if,
I didn't go to
Greg
law
O'Connor,
school.
if Greg
I
O'Connor-
didn't
That's
go to-
because you're
I didn't go to
learning
law school.
vicariously through us. Oh my
It-
gosh!
this
Well,
is-
it's good food for fodder.
good
Yeah.
food for thought. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, okay.
I want to be a lawyer now.
So do I.
Yeah.
Oh, I would say something better. Okay, well that was good.
Do you have any houses?
I'm working on several listings. We do still have a shortage, although I'm seeing more houses come on the market.
All right.
And we are seeing, we have buyers that can't find homes. We have renters that can't find homes to rent. So it's a tight market. So I need more properties. I think I've got about 7 I'm working on right now. Hopefully we'll talk about those next week. I've got a master plan meeting tonight at 6:30. Citizen engagement one.
Isn't that in your ward?
This one's in my ward, so this will be the best of them all.
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. When is it?
Tonight?
Oh, okay.
We'll see you there.
No, I won't. be
6:30 to
there.
8:30.
I only live in a neighborhood, but I have my own personal
Presbyterian
representative
Church.
attending.
And they are very interesting. They're very interactive. It isn't somebody up there lecturing to you. They're, we're taking your opinions and ideas and thoughts. So it's very important that
You've been to several.
I've been to 3. I will be at them all. I'm on
What's
the
the most
advisory committee.
interesting?
The
thought?
most interesting thing is that each ward so far has had their different concerns. And I'm anxious to see what 4, 5, and 6 have. And then there's the 2 city wrap-ups. So they are very, very interesting. We just did one at the Amtrak station. And there were some amazing ideas that came out of that. And some that aren't that difficult to do. So,
Okay. 6:30 tonight.
6:30 at the First Presbyterian Church at 743 West Michigan Avenue. And if there is someone out there that cannot drive and would like to participate, call me at 780-3800. I've got the Jackson Area Transit Authority helping me give people rides to it
Oh wow.
and from it. And then the DDA, Jackie wrote me a note, DDA Beautification Day is May 17th from 9 to 12. Is that
Flower
the
planting?
same weekend as the show at the fair that you were just talking about
Yes.
on the radio?
It is.
They need volunteers to help clean up downtown, and call us or just come down to Bucky Harris Park, and you can call Jackie at 780-3800 since I don't know the DDA's telephone number. So lots of opportunities, and don't forget, don't mow your grass clippings into the street like I just saw someone on West Avenue doing,
Why not?
because it goes down into the storm drain.
Oh.
Makes the street look, our streets have problems as it is, makes them look uglier. It's that time of year.
You can call Laura
780-3800.
if you have a listing.